Two CARICOM countries admit that joining the CCJ's appellate jurisdiction is not a priority. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, July 10th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. A week after a call by the new president of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, for more CARICOM countries to sign on to the court's appellate jurisdiction, two of them say while they're not ruling it out, it's not on their list of priorities. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness and his St. Lucian counterpart Alan Chastanet say they are not opposed to the CCJ, but replacing the Privy Council will take some doing. Holness, who is now the chairman of CARICOM, spoke at the inauguration of the new CCJ President Justice Adrian Saunders, which took place last week, minutes before the start of the 39th annual CARICOM Heads of Government Summit. At that time, Holness was in high praise of the court, saying that it is integral to the effective functioning of CARICOM, that its judgments have a direct impact on the lives of the Caribbean people, and that it has an invaluable role in ensuring that each person enjoys the rights to participate and contribute to the community and to share in its benefits. 2 days later, at the closing press conference, Holness maintained that the CCJ is an important organ for the functional cooperation in CARICOM, but Jamaicans should have a say in deciding to make it the final appeal court.
Every word that I've said at the swearing-in of the new president of the CCJ, I meant it. There is no question about the quality of their judgment, the jurisprudence they're developing, and the importance of the institution in its original jurisdiction. It is important for the functioning of the regional integration process. And we stand by that and we support that. But our position has not changed as it relates to the appellate jurisdiction. And as we have said when we were in opposition, we maintain our position in government that at an appropriate time, this is a matter that the Jamaican people should speak on in a referendum, and that has been our position, and it has not changed.
St. Lucia Prime Minister says, unlike Jamaica, his country does not need a referendum to join the appellate jurisdiction of the CCJ, but his government's focus right now is on the economic development of the country. He says when the time is right, his administration would also consider a referendum to garner public input in the final decision.
In opposition, we had a particular position as a party. We maintain that position. As I indicated, as important as the CCJ is as a decision to make, it is not on my priority or my government's priority list at this point. But I think coming out of this meeting, it's something that we will always continue to give due consideration to. And at the appropriate time, we'll make the announcement. But right now, we're very much focused on growing our economy, resolving the high unemployment rate that we have, resolving the debt problem that we have, and putting ourselves in a position, a much more financially viable position. So at some point, the CCJ will come up and we will make a pronouncement on it. But I like Jamaica, and while St. Lucia, it's not required for us to go to a referendum. There is consideration by many that we ought to still go to a referendum because we think it's a position that the people should make a decision on. But
at the recently concluded CARICOM summit, it was also agreed that individual member states should decide on the way forward regarding the decriminalization of cannabis. The summit received and deliberated on a comprehensive report from the Regional Marijuana Commission, which has been researching and analyzing the implications of the decriminalization of the drug for more than 3 years. The report recommended that a reclassification of marijuana be considered. In most jurisdictions, marijuana has been classified as a Schedule I drug, meaning that it has high abuse potential, no medical use, and severe safety concerns. The heads agreed that member states be allowed to determine for themselves how they would treat with the recommendation.
We therefore agreed that action is necessary at the national level by the relevant authorities to review the current status of marijuana as a Schedule I drug with a view to reclassification. We also agreed that each member state, in accordance with its own circumstances, would determine its own pathway to pursue the law reforms necessary as proposed by the Regional Marijuana Commission.
Well, the Bahamas government says it isn't taking any quick action on marijuana. As we hear in this report from Cleopatra Murphy of ZNS Network News, Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands says the matter will be widely discussed in the public domain before a final decision is made.
Despite the CARICOM Regional Commission on Marijuana recommending that marijuana be reclassified from a dangerous drug with no value to that of a controlled substance, Minister of Health Dr. the Honorable Dwayne Sands says government will take no action until consultation with the Bahamian public. Sands says the report presented at the 39th Annual CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Montego Bay, Jamaica last week can have huge policy implications for the Bahamas, having recommended not just legalizing marijuana use for medicinal purposes, but also a regulated environment for recreational use.
And we will see to it that it's widely disseminated, and then we seek the views of the many different voices who are going to contribute to the formulation of any new policy moving forward. I have no idea where this is going to end up.
The report recommends that instead of prohibition, a strict regulatory framework should be adopted, similar to alcohol and tobacco, noting that criminalization denies CARICOM its economic benefits. Although it recommends legalization, it also recommends the drug not be used in children and should not be used while driving. As to medical marijuana usage, Sands says the report suggests there are few conditions where medical marijuana can be beneficial, saying more research is necessary.
If you take a particular disease and say, is cannabis going to be helpful in this disease, then you would need to trial it to determine what the safe dose is. Then you have to see whether or not you can use it in human beings. And then you have to have head-to-head trials comparing the existing therapy with the new therapy to see which is equivalent or better.
The CARICOM report comes following a recent public domain poll that suggested that 71% of 998 residents polled believed marijuana should be legalized for medical use.
Continuing with more news from the Bahamas, the country will not sign on to the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, the CSME, despite increased pressure from regional heads. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis gave the assurance to citizens of the Caribbean nation upon his return from the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Jamaica. He said the country did not move to adopt the Protocol on Contingent Rights, which provides a framework for the free movement of skilled laborers and their families between member states. The Prime Minister stated clearly that the Bahamas would not allow free movement of people within its boundaries. He says the country has its own rules and laws that it will continue to apply. A review of CSME's operation and a bid to accelerate its full implementation among CARICOM member states was one of the key issues addressed at the CARICOM Heads of Government conference. According to reports in the Bahamas media, Dr. Minnis told regional heads that his country is plagued by migration from Haiti and the free movement of people under the CSME could pose great threats to the security and employment of the Bahamian people. Presently, 12 of the 15 full members of CARICOM are also full members of CSME. The Bahamas is the only full member that has not joined the CSME, as even Haiti is a partial participant and Montserrat, a British overseas territory, is a signatory. And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Jamaica's parliamentary opposition gives the government an ultimatum. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
Passion for what she believes is unmatched.
I wanted to get to the point where you can shake me off that perfect piece.
She's a book-off radio host, philanthropist, and motivational speaker.
And I said, I'm going to write you a check for $10,000, which I'm not.
Spirit, soul, and body.
To get some help through the transition.
I'm Karita D, and you're listening to Girlfriend Get a Life.
Conscience is a bit about his album It Feel Good. In fact, he's planning a tour to promote the album next month. It Feel Good is Conscience's third studio album. Released on March 2nd, the set boasts 16 tracks. He said that the early promotional efforts being handled in North America by his label Empire are being carried out in the hip-hop market. But even as he makes preparation for intense promotion, Conscience is studying the market's feedback to a set that demonstrates his diversity.
Jamaica's parliamentary opposition, the People's National Party, is threatening to withdraw its cooperation with the Andrew Holness government if former Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley remains in the cabinet. Opposition leader Peter Phillips says his side will review its collaboration with the administration if Holness fails to act. Dr. Phillips says the decision to relieve Dr. Wheatley of the energy portfolio while leaving him with cabinet responsibility for other areas of the ministry raises more questions than answers. And we get more in this TVJ news report.
Fire Dr. Andrew Wheatley or else. The ultimatum from President of the People's National Party, Dr. Peter Phillips, to Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
Failure on the part of the Prime Minister to act in this matter will force the opposition to review our collaboration with the government inside Parliament and outside.
Dr. Wheatley was stripped of the energy portfolio last week, but still sits in the cabinet as Science and Technology Minister. The PNP says if he remains, it could withdraw its participation in the recently reintroduced Vale Royal talks. Support for the government's legislative agenda will also come up for review. For the PNP, the refusal to fire Dr. Wheatley is among a number of cases in which the Prime Minister has failed to act.
You could go back to the firearm licensing authority scandal, you go back to the police used car scandal, you go back to the debushing. In every single case when he has had an opportunity to act, he has not acted. His words are hollow, quite frankly, on the issue of corruption. He has fallen short of what is expected of a Prime Minister in every single case.
For Dr. Phillips, the Petrojam saga highlights how the current administration operates.
In this area, as in the case with crime and crime management, we are seeing much more public relations gimmickry than we are seeing sound management of the affairs of the country.
He asserts that Jamaica's Venezuelan partners are dissatisfied with how the affairs at Petrojam are being managed.
This further set of reported breaches will further dampen the confidence of the Venezuelan partners and indeed of any prospective partner who would want to participate in the operations of Petrojam.
Operations at Petrojam have been the focus of public outrage for more than a month following allegations of nepotism, financial mismanagement and hiring practices.
Staying in Jamaica, jailed dancehall artist Vybz Kartel and his co-accused are back in the news again. This time they're appealing their murder conviction. Kartel and the other 3 convicts won a major victory Monday afternoon when the Court of Appeal ruled that fresh evidence will be admitted in the appeal hearing. TVJ's Andrea Chisholm has the details.
In 2014, Adisha Palmer, popularly known as Vybz Kartel, Sean Campbell, known as Sean Storm, Kahira Jones and Andre St. John were convicted for the 2011 murder of Clive Lizard Williams. Vybz Kartel was sentenced to life in prison and has to serve 35 years before being eligible for parole. The Court of Appeal ruled on Monday that lawyers representing the men were allowed to introduce fresh evidence relating to the case.
We think that this is a great day for justice in Jamaica.
Bert Samuels, who represents Sean Storm, summarized some of the arguments made by the legal team.
On the application of QC Nita Robertson, she got the statements that are being used in the Hertfordshire Parish Court, where the same DPP's office is prosecuting the juror, and there are statements to say that the jurors were listened to the tape recordings by the foreman juror in the jury room, which is scandalous. That ought not to have happened.
Defense attorneys argued that the trial judge should have discharged the jury and declare a mistrial once the matter was brought to the judge's attention. One of the jurors was arrested and charged following allegations that he approached the foreman to swing the verdict in Kartel's favor. That case is still before the Halfway Tree Parish Court.
It may amaze the public to know that Sean Campbell was not allowed to go in the judge's chambers when matters regarding the bribing of a juror was being decided on, and the judge took a decision in chambers behind the backs of the accused persons.
And the Court of Appeal has reduced the 3-week period it initially set aside to hear submissions. Since submissions were made in writing, Justice Dennis Morrison said starting Monday, July 16, each appellant will be given 1 day to make a case. Mr. Samuel said his submission was roughly 140 pages and took issue with the response from the prosecution led by Jeremy Taylor.
Is that 140 pages of arguments, and the DPP has made 1.5 pages of response. That to me is telling. It shows that they have no response to what we have put forward before this Court of Appeal. What that is going to lead to, and I'm no prophet here, I know what is going to happen. He's going to come to court and seek to go outside of his response and catch us by surprise, which we call in law, try to ambush us. It won't happen in this appeal, I must tell you.
The principal of the University of the West Indies, Cave campus, is proposing that Barbados establish its own law school. Professor Eudine Barito put forward the proposal during a courtesy call with Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Dale Marshall on Monday, saying that she wanted Barbados to be seen as a hub for education in the Caribbean. Barito suggested that the law school could cater not only to Barbadians but students from across the region and as far as the United Kingdom. The Cave Hill campus principal asked Marshall to consider her proposal seriously and said she would also raise it with Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training Santia Bradshaw and Prime Minister Mia Mottley. The Attorney General said there were a number of issues to be considered in Barito's proposal, but he also wants to hear the opinion of the Council of Legal Education on the matter. U.S. oil and gas giant ExxonMobil has assured that all systems are in place to prevent an oil spill off Guyana, but the company says it is prepared to handle one if it does occur. Questions have been raised about the country's state of preparedness for such an accident in light of the recent oil spill in neighboring Trinidad and Tobago. The Twin Island Republic is seeking foreign assistance to stem hydrocarbons spewing from a ruptured well in the Gulf of Paria. ExxonMobil's country manager Rod Henson says the possibility of an oil spill in Guyana is very low, and the company is focused on prevention and has been doing everything possible to avoid any spill where it operates. But he also told stakeholders at an Environmental Protection Agency's meeting on Monday that ExxonMobil has procedures and processes in place to deal with any emergency response. And ahead in Newsline Sport, injury rules Windies fast bowler Kimar Roach out of the second test against Bangladesh. The details of that story and more in the sports segment. Stay with us.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Collect enough water to last about 2 weeks, if possible, for flushing toilets and bathing. Remember, each flush takes about 6 gallons of water.
How's it working with ACES?
Oh man, it's really amazing. It's a blessing. Like, she literally surprised me.
Did you pay her? I mean, did she pay you rather?
Nah.
No?
It's more love for the music.
Yes.
It's never about money, because when you do it for money, you lose sight of the vision that you want to bring to the table.
It's true, but not to say that that's not the goal, though.
Of course.
We do need to get paid. We do need to eat out here.
When you buy a ticket on Liat, outside of the taxes paid, you're getting more than just a flight. You're getting well-trained, qualified, competent crew. The newest, fuel-efficient, environmentally friendly aircraft. The best aircraft maintenance process and people to get you there safely. More destinations and connections with partners than any airline in the region. All so that we can connect you to special moments with friends and family, festivals and fun. We connect you to your business associates, which helps you and the region's economies to grow. So there is more to the fare than the flight. Liat, the Caribbean Airlines, more than connecting the region.
Fast bowler Kemar Roach will miss the second test between the West Indies and Bangladesh, which starts at Sabina Park in Jamaica on Thursday. He has been ordered to rest after sustaining a hamstring strain during the first innings of the test in Antigua that the Windies won by an innings and 219 runs. In that opening test, Roach picked up magnificent figures of 5 for 8 inside the first hour of the contest, leading to him being adjudged man of the match. Replacing him will be young fast bowler Alzari Joseph. The 21-year-old was forced out of the tour of New Zealand with stress fracture of the back and had been undergoing rehabilitation ever since. Joseph has played 6 tests and 14 one-day internationals but has not played for the West Indies since last September's one-day tour of England. A series win for the Windies would see them move up 1 spot to 8th in the ICC Test rankings. There were also some positive movements in the ICC rankings for several players. Roach 20th and Craig Brathwaite 16th are now in the top 20 in bowling and batting respectively, while Captain Jason Holder moved up 2 places to 52nd in the batting rankings and to 23rd in the bowling. Kieran Powell also moved up 5 places to 61st in the batting rankings, and fast bowler Miguel Cummins moved up 12 places to 55th. Staying with cricket, West Indies A finished the opening day of the second test against India on 301 for 9 at the Cooper Associates County Ground in Taunton, England on Tuesday. Mid-order batsman Shamar Brooks held on until the close of play after he smashed an unbeaten 121 from 224 deliveries. Left-handed batsman O'Shea Thomas remained not out on 2. Opening batsman John Campbell added 41, while Devon Thomas chipped in with 27. Taking 3 wickets each were Indian medium pacer Mohammad Shrija and left-arm spinner Shabazz Nadeem. Trinidad and Tobago opening batsman Evan Lewis dropped 2 spots but still remains the highest-ranked West Indian cricketer, while Samuel Badri maintained his rank when the ICC released its latest T20 international playing rankings on Monday. Lewis slipped from number 5 to number 7 but still remains the only Windies player in the top 20, having accumulated 753 points. He is only 8 points behind Australian Glenn Maxwell with 761, who dropped 3 points to 6th. Maxwell's team, Aaron Finch, currently sits atop the rankings with 900 points, becoming the first player in T20 history to break the 900-point mark. The West Indies have 2 players among the top 20 bowlers, thanks to Trinidad and Tobago's spinning duo Badri, who holds on to his number 5 ranking with 674 points, and Sunil Narayan, who slipped 1 place to be ranked 18th on 587 points. The West Indies are still the 7th-ranked T20 team on 114 points, the same points as 6th-ranked South Africa. And as the Windies women continue their preparation for the upcoming Women's World T20 Championships, 4 newcomers have been added to a T20 member squad currently in training. The regional outfit will be looking to defend their title when the champions get underway. That's the championships get underway in the Caribbean from November 9th and runs until November 24. The Windies women have been in 2 high-performance camps since April 30, but took a working break in June where they represented their national sides for the Women's Championship. Trinidad and Tobago's duo of Shani Abdul and Karishma Ramhakra, along with Aria Fortune of the Windward Islands and Guyana's Shanitha Grimman, are included in the squad, which is currently in Antigua, taking part in a high-performance program. Natasha McLean, Chanel Henry, Akira Peters, and Shabika Ganjabi have also made a return to the squad. Captain Stephanie Taylor is unavailable due to other commitments and will play for the West Indies Storm in the UK in the Kia Super League, which ends in August. The squad will have a warm-up in September when they host South Africa. Veteran Barbadian rider Patrick Husbands put all his finesse on display in a superb late burst with outsider Kingsport to snatch Sunday's 100,000 Canadian dollar Shepparton Stakes at prestigious Woodbine. Last for most of the 6.5 furlong contest, Husbands launched a furious stretch rally with the 8-1 choice navigating traffic inside the final furlong to clinch victory by 1.5 lengths in a time of 1 minute 15.61 seconds. Woodbine's Robert Geller has the call.
Boreal Spirit the outside, and they're a length and a half clear. Jack's Escarpment's had every chance so far today. 2 lengths away is New Pagodi, and 3 to King Sport is last. Pink Lloyd on the inside, narrowly in front. Boreal Spirit ahead away second. A couple away, Jack's Escarpment still under a loose rein, has travelled pretty well. And behind them, New Pagodi, and last is King Sport. Boreal Spirit on the outside of Pink Lloyd, trying to really level here. Jack's Escarpment will be a danger, is running on. And they're well ahead of King Sport, 5 behind. Pink Lloyd niggled at here. Boreal Spirit the outside, Jack's Escarpment a danger, and Jack's Escarpment coming. Oh, Pink Lloyd's in trouble a little bit here. Pink Lloyd by a length, Jack's Escarpment, King Sport flying home. King Sport right through in the centre. There's an upset in the brewing, and King Sport's done it. King Sport by a length and a half, Jack's Escarpment and Pink Lloyd.
Meanwhile, Jamaican jockey Patrick Henry suffered a mild concussion and back contusion after taking a tumble in the 5th race of the 9-card program at Emerald Downs on Sunday. Riding 15-1 outsider Shopping Tizzy in the 5th race over a mile, Henry was carrying the 3-year-old filly to victory in the stretch when she suddenly veered in, tossing him from the saddle. He went down hard and appeared to be hit by his horse's rear leg or the oncoming 4-1 choice Dakota Tango. He lay motionless for several minutes before being rushed to Valley Medical Center, half hour's drive away in Renton. The race was won by Barbadian Rockaboy and aboard favourite Belle of Rainier. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Again, the major developments of this day, Jamaica and St. Lucia say making the Caribbean Court of Justice their final court of appeal is not a priority. And in sport, a hamstring strain will force West Indies fast bowler Kimar Roach to miss the 2nd test against Bangladesh starting Thursday. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CarnaNews.com. For more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and subscribe to CaribVision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, have a good night.